With Ben Bolch and Bill Plaschke, I'm Lindsey Thiry for the Los Angeles Times. The Clippers fall to the Blazers 108-98, Game 5 of the NBA playoffs. And as sad as the setting is in this locker room that we're doing this video, perhaps was just as sad of an atmosphere around Staples Center tonight, Bill.
It was just awful. You know, they were playing without Griffin and Chris Paul. Everyone knew they was doomed, and they truly were doomed. They fought as hard as they could, but they were overmatched, and they didn't have enough bodies. They didn't have enough energy. They had the game tied, entered in the fourth quarter, and then quickly, within 8 minutes, they were down by 13 points, and it was over with.
Paul Pierce, Austin Rivers, and Jamal Crawford started for the Clippers. Obviously, it didn't go well for Paul Pierce. How do you think Doc Rivers shakes it up going into Game 6?
I think he has to look at starting some different players. I'm not sure that this lineup worked. Paul Pierce was out there throwing up an air ball, throwing some lobs for DeAndre that just were not even close. Didn't look like, frankly, a player who should be in the playoffs right now. I liked Austin Rivers at point guard, Jamal Crawford on the floor as well. I might move him back to the bench. I'm not sure that was the best look either. He played 44 minutes tonight, and his shot clearly was off. I think he shot 6 out of 23.
Bill, the curse of the Clippers, you say it's real, you say it's strong. Obviously, those two guys weren't here. But just the entire atmosphere being as down as it was, how do the Clippers as an organization turn this thing around?
Well, they don't turn it around this season. I mean, I think historically, teams that lead 3 games to 82% of the time they win the series. You don't need history to know that this series is likely over with. It'll end in Game 6 in Portland. They just have to come back next year. The big question now is going to be, do they blow up the big three? Do they get rid of Blake? Do they get rid of Chris Paul in the last years of their contract? Do they try? I think they should try to ride it out. I think they should hang on for one more year. They've come so close, and they're so close again. And tonight, I wrote in my column, they were epitomized by Steve Ballmer. When he walked out of the arena, his face was ashen, his shirt was rumpled, and he was all by himself. And that's kind of where the Clippers are in another season.
Where was Chuck the Condor?
Chuck the Condor nearly got into a fight with a fan in the first quarter when he was beating the drum behind the fan, and the fan turned and said, "Get out of here," and he wouldn't leave. So the one person who had resiliency tonight was the Bird, and the Bird wouldn't leave, and the fan almost got in a fist. So yeah, it was Chuck the Condor, not my favorite Clipper.
We should have already known that. Okay, so Ben, Bill's kind of written the Clippers off, says it's all over. They do have Game 6, though, Friday in Portland. Do these guys have any chance?
A very slim one. They keep referencing the 3-2 situation last year against the Spurs, where it was similar in that they had to go to San Antonio to win Game 6 to keep the series alive. But the similarities in there. They had Chris Paul, they had Blake Griffin. Trotting out these different lineups in this type of setting is not a recipe for success. So I also expect the season to be over in Game 6.
All right, a dismal outlook from these two. Of course, Game 6 will be Friday. Ben will be there. With Ben Bolch and Bill Plaschke, I'm Lindsey Thiry for the Los Angeles Times.